Hi guys, good evening, and welcome back once again to the EdWord. I'm your host Eddie, and in tonight's video I will be discussing my thoughts and reactions to the most recent episode of CBS's Zoo. Now before I begin, of course, like with all my recap and review videos, this video will be full of big spoilers, so if you are not caught up on Zoo or the past couple episodes of Zoo, as I will be making references back to previous episodes, do not continue watching or listening to this video as it will be full of big spoilers. That being said, I really liked it. Really liked it. I thought to myself as I was watching it, I'm like, finally, this is how an episode of Zoo should be. You balance it out with human conflict and problems with animal attack sequences that are fun, scary, and exciting. And that's exactly what this episode delivered on. I just thought to myself, it's kind of unfortunate that it took 8 episodes in order for an episode like this to come along. I mean, the first 2 episodes were pretty good about having some animal attacks and animal action, and the other episodes have had their share as well, but not as much as this one. This one, we finally saw animals going batshit crazy on people. You know, people are already referring to this as the Birds episode of Zoo, like Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds, because of course, the animal that was mostly featured in this most recent episode were different kinds of birds. You know, birds were attacking people in a public park in Boston, including Mitch's ex-wife and terminally ill daughter, who were there for a nice day in the park. And Mitch, of course, is forced to confess to the team that he was going to exchange the mother cell for medicine for his daughter, but he backed out, but he escaped at the last second when he realized that Chloe's boss, Delavine, was there seen talking to Raiden Global, and sure enough, he is not French intelligence, he is head of security for Raiden Global, and he was been working with them all along, and his mission was to bring together a group of people who could, ideally for Raiden Global's position, cover up their mess, what they've done with the mother cell and everything else regarding the mother cell. But instead, of course, the team is very close to exposing them. And the CEO of Raiden Global has made it clear to Delavine that they're going to kill them all, and nobody will ever learn the truth about the mother cell and how it's in every Raiden Global product and how it's all over the world and how it's making animals turn crazy. So, you know, the team is initially upset with Mitch at first. They're pretty angry with him. I mean, I don't blame them. You know, it was kind of a noble move to try to get medicine for his dying daughter. The problem... Sorry, I was afraid my camera might fall. The problem is that he shouldn't have gone behind his team's back. You know, that's a pretty dick move to pull there. Excuse me. Like my shirt? Anyway, but... It's like okay, so now they're really not sure who can they trust, who can the team actually trust, and they're already having a difficult time trusting Mitch and trying to gain their confidence back in him because of what he's told them. But he also brought back this pivotal piece of information that Chloe's boss is actually working for Raiden Global and has been all along. And then to make matters only worse, it turns out that the older gentleman who was on the blind date with the woman when the horse went crazy in the last episode, Schaefer's teacher, it turns out Schaefer and this guy are actually both of them FBI, or Schaefer was FBI. But as the other FBI agent points out to the older guy, he says that Schaefer was down in Biloxi, Mississippi on his own time, not in his official capacity, and he went down there on his own time, and they don't know what he was up to. But the fact remains is that Jamie killed a renegade FBI agent, but in self-defense. And of course, this guy isn't interested in self-defense or what her reasons are. He's just looking for vengeance and wants to find Jamie, Chloe, and the rest of their team and lock them up for Schaefer's murder. So not only do they have to worry about who they can trust, but now the American authorities are after them as well. cell. And one of Chloe's friends in the French Secret Service has told her that she's no longer a French agent. The director has suspended her since the FBI put out an arrest warrant for Chloe and Jamie. So now they've got to figure out how are they going to make the public aware of the mother cell and everything that's happening in the world. How can they figure out to create a cure for all of the infected animals, and how are they going to stay one step ahead of Raiden Global? You know, there's a lot at stake here in this episode, a lot of what-if questions and scenarios. So Jackson comes up with a plan. Jamie contacts one of her friends who works at the local newspaper, and by the way, the team is in Boston. They're still in Boston. Abraham and Mitch drive to Mitch's family's house to deliver the medicine to his daughter, while Chloe and Jackson pay a visit to Develine in his house and very much in his face threaten him with the mother cell, and like he was he was working for Raiden Global all along. And as we see in the scenes between him and the CEO of Raiden Global when they're dropping him off at his house, Delavine's house, it turns out he is the head of security for the whole company, the head of security for Raiden Global. And that's why they had him bring together this team of people who could ideally come up with a cover-up story or cover up all of Raiden Global's shady activities and doings and cover up all of the problems with the mother cell, but instead the team has revealed all of this, or they're about to reveal all of it. So it's really backfired in their corporate fucking faces. So fuck you, corporate America. Sorry, it's just I really, really hate Raiden Global. They're so evil, so nasty. But as I was saying earlier, this episode was a great example as to exactly what I thought this show could be and will be, because we still have a couple more episodes till the season finale, and this could be a case where the first season started off kind of slow, but the second half will be much more exciting, and season 2 will start off with a bang. And hopefully, please, please, please let it get renewed for a second season, because I'm really, really liking this show, and I'm really liking it now, especially after this most recent episode. And the scene where, Mitch's ex and his daughter are saving a baby whose carriage is left abandoned after its mother is killed by crows in the park, and they're being attacked and swarmed by crows. It's extremely reminiscent of Hitchcock's The Birds, but then another thing that makes it reminiscent is that Abraham and the firefighters show up with a hose and spray the birds away, and they spray all of the birds away from the park so everybody can escape. And the reason the firemen are there in the first place is because as they're driving to the park, Mitch tells Abraham that he was in Boston a year earlier. Dalmatian was hit outside of his hotel. He saved the Dalmatian's life, who happened to belong to the fire department, so the fire department owed him a favor, because they were trying to figure out, what are we going to do to save your ex-wife and your daughter and everybody else in the park? How are we going to help them? What can we do to scare the birds away? And at first, I thought Mitch was talking about scaring the birds away with the horns and the sirens on the fire trucks, but then instead, okay, just use the water hose. That's just as effective. It gets the same job done. It sprays the birds away. And they've also noticed how birds of all species are talking to each other, because Mitch and Abraham first notice it with a couple of sparrows who are like observing them or spying on them. And then there are pigeons outside of Mitch's family's house when his ex-wife and the dog get home before they head to the park, and she realizes they're being watched by mourning doves or pigeons, whatever they were. And at the park, it's mostly crows, but a couple of pigeons and sparrows that are swarming and attacking people. So they save everybody in the park. They get back to Mitch's family's house. The team's trying to figure out what to do. The FBI is after them, and they've just escaped from a little standoff between the older FBI agent, who was Schaefer's teacher, who had tracked them to the warehouse where they had agreed to meet Jamie's newspaper contact, one of her reporter friends, because they're telling him everything that's been going on about Raiden Global, animals' hyper-aggression, and how everything's connected. But then they're jumped by the FBI agent, but they get away from him momentarily. Unfortunately, he tracks them back to Mitch's family's house, but they're long gone by the time he and the FBI storm the place, along with Mitch's ex-wife and daughter, who are deciding to go to Maine to the boyfriend's family's house. Justin's parents, Justin, the fiance of Mitch's ex-wife, I believe. So they're going to Maine to stay with them because it's not safe in Boston anymore. But at the same time, it's like, really, you're sending them to Maine? I don't see how that's any better, because if this is happening all over the world and all over our country, you know, nowhere is really going to be safe, because animals are everywhere. That's the problem. And they try to figure out by process of elimination what areas have not been affected by Raiden Global, or this virus that's making animals go crazy and hyper aggressive. And then Mitch has like an epiphany when he sees his daughter's stuffed leopard in her bedroom as they're packing. He comes back downstairs to the team, and he makes Jackson remember when he was in his father's laboratory way back in a few episodes ago, about how his dad had mentioned like characteristic traits of big cats, but especially leopards for some reason. And then Mitch comes up with the theory, what if leopards are somehow the key to all of this? What if Jackson's father was also trying to find a cure to animal madness, and leopards are somehow a part of it, and they have something to do with it? Like, what if leopards carry some kind of gene or genetic code or something in their DNA that could reverse the process and make animals not be hyper aggressive anymore? Who knows? But that gives the team hope, and then it leads them to a lead in Zambia, India, I believe. So now they have to make a long trek back to India with the FBI hot on their trail, and with no official contacts from the French Secret Service, since they are now all officially all on their own. Quite frankly, I think running from the FBI and the other authorities is the least of their worries, because as they pointed out with this recent bird attack in the park in Boston, and then as they're watching the news, several other bird attacks happened in other parks all over Boston, and how hyper-aggression is occurring much more rapidly and increasingly in animals, and it's going to be started to be seen all over the world. So they really need to move fast and start working on a cure, if they can even make one. But at the same time, the threat remains that Raiden Global is going after them, and the CEO has made it clear to Delavigne that they are not going to live to find out whether or not the mother cell could indeed create a cure to all this madness. And I thought to myself, dude, you know, referring to the Raiden Global CEO, why would you stop them from creating a cure that could essentially cover up your huge fuck up? If they could use the mother cell to create a cure to reverse the process that's affecting all the animals all over the world, why would you stop that? Why would you just, you know, I could understand why you want to kill them to keep your secret, but at the same time, why not let them create the cure first and then kill them? I mean, the cure would solve all your problems. Animal attacks would stop and things would slowly return to normal. But no, he's like, they're not going to live to find out if it really works or not. And Devlin's like, I'll do what I can. So now the team's on their own, no official contacts. Chloe's been dismissed from the DGSE, and the FBI is after them, and the senior agent is after them, the guy who is Schaefer's friend and teacher. And even though they tried to talk to this guy and convince him that Jamie did kill him, but in self-defense, and that he was a dirty agent who was on Raiden Global's payroll. So that's it. That was the episode. Overall, really liked it, and this was a perfect example of what I was hoping we would see eventually on this show. And I'm sorry that it took so long to get to this kind of episode, 8 episodes into the first season, but I think we're going to see more episodes like this until the end of the season, and hopefully if it gets renewed for a second season, it'll start off with a bang as well, because I'm sure season 1 will leave us with a pending animal apocalypse, most likely, or just a bigger crisis where it starts to really show up all over the world. So overall, yeah, I liked it. I thought it was a lot of fun, very reminiscent of The Walking Dead, The Birds, a great example as to what kind of show Zoo should be and hopefully will be. Well, guys, thank you once again for tuning in here on the EdWord for all of your recap and review needs. Thank you so much for watching and subscribing. Don't forget to like this video, comment, and sound off down below What were your favorite parts of this episode? Did you also get that feeling of nostalgia for Walking Dead and the birds during the bird attack scenes? Are you hoping to see more episodes like this? You know, how do you think the team's going to get from Boston to India without being noticed too much? It'll be interesting to find out. Stay tuned for more upcoming content and videos here on the EdWord, so stay subscribed. Have a great rest of the night, everybody, and of course, until next time, may the Force be with you.